good Saturday afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for spending your 3 o'clock hour with us once again. We are Edward and Debbie Smith, and we are the facilitators, coordinators
today.
of Family Life Ministries at Koto, Church of the Oranges in Orange, New Jersey. And you can find us here every Saturday afternoon at 3. We hope you've had a wonderful week, and we have a special program in store for you today. But before I do that, we have an email after last week's session. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us, if you want to send an email, ask a question, give us a topic suggestion, email us. family@kotosda.org.
You got it.
You ready for the email?
Sure, let's go.
Okay. Brother and Sister Smith, during last week's session, you talked about family traits in the bloodline. As a 50-something-year-old who has always been set in his ways, how can I be more emotionally available and connected to my wife? I provide financially for my family as my father taught me to, but she says it's just not enough. That is a great question.
And that's a powerful question.
Yes.
And what I love about the question is coming from a man. Oftentimes, women are the ones who write in asking questions and stuff, but this question came from a man. And what is good about resolving issues in marital relationship or any relationship for that matter is first recognizing that there is a problem, and the fact that you can recognize, sir, that there is a problem, then you are safely on your way to resolving the problem. Bloodline is something, it shapes and form our character, who we are, who we will be in life. Oftentimes it does that. But the other side of it is that, we can always unlearn and relearn. And so while bloodline and is may not be a bad thing, but if it's not working in your current relationship, then you have to unlearn that format or method, that is eating away from the core of your current relationship, and relearn, learn new things and plant that in your current relationship so that your relationship can flourish.
Yeah. And so it's quite simple. As Ed said, we applaud you for even taking the time to try to figure out what you can do differently. And to put it quite simply, ask your wife what she needs.
Come on.
Ask her what are those emotional needs that are not being met. And I'm sure she will have a response for you. And that's where it begins. Just simply asking her the question, what can I do differently? How can I better serve you? How can I meet your emotional needs? Providing financially is great. It's awesome. But we also need you to be there emotionally and mentally for your spouse. So please sit down and have the conversation. Let her know that you hear her, you want to meet her needs, and you're willing to learn the things that will make her more satisfied with the relationship.
Awesome.
Okay, great. So today is the second Sabbath of the month. And so our special treat for you today is going to be our women's ministry. We are so excited because the second Sabbath of every month, Women's Ministry will be here, sharing this platform with Family Life and highlighting topics that are important to women. So whether you're a woman, you have a woman in your life, you have a woman that you love, you have a woman that you want to support, you want to make sure that you are tuning in to this special program.
Amen.
And so today, we are going to have 3 generations of women. 3 generations from the same family that are going to talk about womanhood.
Wow.
When did you feel that you were finally a woman?
Right.
When did you feel that you went from girl to woman.
Mm.
And so our guest today will be, first we have Doris Grider. She is a published author of I Was Thinking, which is a daily Christian devotional. She's the wife to Joe Grider. She's the who is the ministerial secretary of South Central Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. She is a mother of 4. She is
Mm.
also a foster mom. She's a grandmother of 10.
Wow.
And she is godmother of too many to count.
Mm.
Sister Grider is also a former youth counselor. The next generation will be our very own Twyla Grider. She's the founder and creative director of Stellar Creative Collective. She's a creative coach. She's a champion and advocate for Black designers. She's a lifelong visual artist. She's Maxwell's mommy. She's a daughter. She's an auntie. And she is a friend. The next generation will be 2 of Twyla's nieces.
Hello, Church of the Oranges. I am so honored and grateful to be able to kick off this discussion. Today, we are talking about what it means to become a woman, or what it means to be a woman, and when was that moment for you? So I had this idea that maybe we should talk about this in a multi-generational discussion. So I said, well, how would that work out? And I said, it would be really great to get my mom and my nieces on the conversation, because I think we get some different perspectives and we'd have a really good conversation about life experiences and some sage advice. And all of that good stuff wrapped up into one conversation. As you know, this is a part of our women's ministries series. So, of course, we always want to be mindful that we want to refer back to the word as far as what we are to be as Christian women. So I want to introduce you guys to the fam. I'm so happy to be able to have 2 of my nieces to join us, Jody and Jessie. Wave. These are my heartbeats. Jody is my oldest biological niece, and she came right when I felt like I was becoming a woman, and I was able to watch her come into this world, and she changed my perspective on life forever. Jody just graduated and is now an educator. And Jessica is my second. This one is my kindred spirit.
Yes.
She's my kindred. She's me all over again. But she's me better because she's doing all the right things and making great choices and is a phenomenal woman. She's finishing up at Howard University. And I believe she's doing journalism and communications, and she's a rock star there. And the matriarch of the family is my mother, Doris Miller Grider, and she, in her own right, is a phenomenal woman. She's an author and a teacher and a preacher, but most of all, she is the best mom in the whole world. She has mothered everyone, literally. Hundreds of people she's mothered. I've had to share. And every time she would bring someone into our home, she taught me how to love, and she taught me how to be a giver. And I am very grateful that she's able to join us for this discussion. So thanks, ladies. So, Mommy, I'm going to kick it off with you. With the big question is, what is your definition of being a woman?
Being a woman is to know yourself completely, to be your own person, to think for yourself, find your inner strength, and make goals for yourself constantly. If you reach your goal and you need to find another one, you need to die making goals. So being a woman is to be compassionate and understanding, and knowing that there are other people in this world besides yourself, and you got to share this planet with other people. So it's best to live in this planet as peacefully as you can. But always understand that everybody has a right to their life and to be here. That's it.
So so then my follow-up question to you, Mommy, is when did you then, because that's a big definition.
Definitely.
So when did you feel like in your own skin you became a woman?
The short answer is I'm still becoming a woman.
Ooh.
The long answer is I have no idea, because for all intent and purposes, I lost my child about 7 years old and had to take on the role of an adult woman, in that I had to raise my little brother. So honestly, Twyla, I am not sure about world standards when I became a woman. If you look at what I had to do, then I became one at 7. But by my own definition, I'm still becoming one.
So Jody, you're the oldest of 3 sisters. And I feel like every time I talk to you, you're coming into your own. Like, you tell me something new and I'm like, wow, she's an adult. But do you feel like you are a woman?
I would say more or less, yes, but I think that there's still, room for me to grow to reach that definition of, what a woman is and how I hold myself in terms of, just my demeanor, my poise, and as well as just, interacting with other people and holding myself accountable in, the spaces where I'm working.
Amen.
What about you, Jess?
This is a hard question.
Yeah.
21 years old. And I used to think I was so grown. I was 16. I was like, you can't tell me absolutely anything about this. I'm a woman. The answer to this question, like, I don't know when I'll feel that wholeness of being like my ultimate womanly self. I know I'll step into it maybe when I have kids. I've heard that you nest and you turn into just like a different sort of being when you do have children. But I'm 21 and I just truly feel like every day, every experience is a learning process. And I am just every day, I'm taking those lessons in, but I'm growing. So I'm on the right track, but I know that there's so much more that I have yet to learn from my family, from Jody, from my little sister even. And it's scary, but it's also just exciting. It's really, it's scary trying to figure out what is and isn't the right thing to do sometimes.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I feel like there were times in my life that I saw glimpses of what a woman or womanhood or even the plight of a woman. I think when I started to step into my womanhood, I think was when I went to Pine Forge and I had to make, I went to a boarding school and I was, I guess, 16 when I left home, and I had to make decisions, and we didn't have telephones in our room. We had pay phones. So I couldn't call my mom every day and ask her about life. I just couldn't do it. I wasn't, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have anything like that. So I literally had to figure stuff out. And I feel like that was when I started to become my own person, and I started to form an identity. And then I think all of that went away. for how grown I thought I was, Jesse, much like yourself at 16, for how grown I thought I was when I got to Auburn University, I realized how much of a child I was, because for the first time I was in a space with like thousands of students that looked completely different than myself. They had their belief systems. Everyone had like all these different beliefs. It was the first time I was in an environment that wasn't a Christian environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time I was in an environment that wasn't a Seventh-day Adventist environment. And so I had to literally figure out what I believe, not what my parents believe, not what I was taught, but I had to figure out my own belief system. And for me, that was a long journey that spilled over into my 20s. So I feel like that was like a stepping stone into being a woman. And there were tons of events that happened in my 20s that definitely jarred me. But then when I had Maxwell, first of all, I was terrified when I first held him. And I looked at him and I was like, well, you have to be a grown-up at least.
Yeah.
I had to at least be a grown-up. You know, I was 35 and I was a stay-at-home mom and cooking and cleaning for my partner at the time, and he's working hard, and my mom was like, I'm gonna stay with you for a good month to make sure you're okay. And when she left, I can't even front, I cried like a baby. And then I was like, all right, so let's go. And I think that that's when I feel like I fully stepped into womanhood, setting goals, making them happen, all that stuff that your grandmother said. I feel like that's when I completely, fully accepted the role as a woman. I don't know that I was, you know, I'm still learning, but I definitely accepted the role at that point.
Right.
So, Mom, you were talking a little bit about how you grew up and how you had to grow up really fast, right? So I grew up, but like, honestly, I didn't have to grow up fast because you and Dad made sure that your children, even your adopted children, didn't have to have the same type of struggles that you guys had, right? So we were in this nice little cushy bubble. So, and I really didn't have to grow up until I had Maxwell. But you had to grow up really young at 7. And so what was that like, reconciling being a child but having adult responsibilities?
It was very difficult because I didn't live with my mother until I was 7. That's why I had to step into this role. She had another child, to which she promptly gave to me. So I had to learn a lot, because I had to learn how to take care of a living being. This was not a doll. This was a person. So I had to learn how to do all the normal things that mothers have to do for their children. I had to fix the formula. There weren't any Pampers in those days, so I had to make sure that the diapers were washed and cleaned and sanitized. I had to make sure that the house was clean. I had to make sure that I fixed my own food. I had to have something to eat, so I had to cook for myself. And I had to make sure that the house was clean. The only thing that I did not have to do was to pay the bills and buy groceries. But everything else that an adult has to do to take care of a child, I had to do it. I remember when the summertime, it was not so bad because I didn't have to deal with school. In the wintertime or during the school terms, it was a little bit harder because what I had to do was get up early in the morning. I had to start a fire. I'm really aging myself because we had a big potbelly stove in the middle of the house, as it were. And I had to get up in the cold and make a fire before it was time to get the baby up. So I did that. I got up, got the diaper ready, got his formula together, made sure the house was warm. Then I got myself ready. And once I was ready, I got him ready, got him all bundled up. There was a lady that was like 5 houses down the street on my way to school. I would drop him off at her house, go to school. When I got back home from school, I would pick from the sitter, get him home, get him settled, wash his diapers, get his formula ready, do my homework. I had to do all of that. And that lasted until until he was able to go to school himself. And then it got easier because then he was also going to school, which made it easier for me. But I still had to do all the things I had to do. I still had to make sure that his clothes were washed and ironed and school was ready and all of that kind of stuff. I had to do all of that. And that went on until he was very much a teenager and totally self-sufficient on his own. But it didn't, by that, when I got to high school, junior high, I stepped into that role I told you I didn't have to be in. Then I started paying the bills and I bought the groceries because I went to school, left school, went on a job to make some money so I could pay the bills and so I could buy the food. So it's just been, I stepped into that mode and I've just been there ever since, which, as you say, I adopt so many people. I don't know how not to be nurturing. I don't know how to stop doing that.
Yeah. It's like a part of your DNA.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like what's interesting is I feel like that piece of you has been passed down.
Hope so.
To me, for sure, in that my spirit is to see people in need and want to help.
Right.
Even to a point of sometimes my own detriment.
Yes.
And to my own disadvantage. Jody and Jesse, I was wondering, so obviously your grandma had to grow up really, really quick, right? Mm-hmm. But your mom and dad has allowed you guys to grow at your own pace, so to speak, in a very environment.
Absolutely.
So do you feel like now that you're at this turning point, both of you kind of are, where you're starting to step out on your own? Jody just got her first full-time job.
Yay.
Yeah, so she's officially a teacher. And, Jesse's interning and she's about to get into grad school soon. And do you feel like you are ready to step into that next phase of womanhood? And what does that look like to you? Seeing that, your grandma was talking about setting goals and what, when I say setting goals, I think about visualizing what you want your life to be and then going after it. So what do you feel like? What does that look like? Let's start with Jessie first and then we'll go to Jody this time.
So for some context, went to Howard University when I turned 18 years old. I was maybe a couple months away from being 19. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So I was young and I had the pep talk from Auntie T. My parents had sent me a couple years before to go and straighten out my head. That's what my mom called that, to straighten out my head and make sure that I was on the right track but not getting distracted. But like you said, Auntie T, my mom and dad, our parents really allowed us the chance to be our most free, individual, independent young selves. Mm-hmm. And it's honestly remarkable now that I think about it, because we always got the right direction turns when we needed it the most. We always were sent when we needed to be sent to Auntie T when we needed it the most. Also, they also made sure that we had the chance to pick what we wanted to choose and make the right and wrong decisions, talk to who we wanted to talk to. And at the end of the day, what I realized now that I am almost graduated from Howard is I'm pretty much at the point in my life that my decision making, I'm very secure in it. Good. I know a lot of young people struggle with that because they don't feel like they've had the background to feel secure and to feel confident in themselves. But because mom and dad made sure that we, from a young age, we're in charge of our own narratives, I felt very confident in all the decisions I've made, including grad school, including my continuation at Howard University. We live in Dallas, Texas. So I was so far away from home, from my family, but I was secure in my decision making, and I knew that I could do anything. So now that I've come to this turning point that we're talking about, it's still scary. I'm not saying it's not scary, but I do feel like I do have the support, and that I have the confidence to know when I do need help. And I have the support from my family, my friends, my mentors, my church family, everybody in my path and my line who care about me. I know that they're in my corner supporting me. And then ultimately I also have my sisters who, you know, they'll look at me crazy when something goes left. They'll be like, Jessie, oh my gosh, you know? Jessie. And I'm like, okay, guys, I got it. Watch me. So I know people are watching that care about me, and I'm confident in myself. I'm coming. And it's going to be great.
So I graduated from the University of Texas, Austin in the spring over Zoom, you know, so that's a whole nother story. But, you know, I feel like I'm very fortunate, and all of us are, but, you know, as I've gotten older, you know, as I've gone through school, you know, grade school and now, you know, undergrad, I've been able to very slowly have more responsibilities build up. And that's truly is a blessing, because that's not the experience of everyone. And I'm realizing that even now with my own students, some of them are taking care of their siblings. I never really had to do that. I wanted to, because, you know, those are my girls and they're mine, you know, and I'm theirs. So I wanted to, but I never really had to. And now that, you know, I'm an adult, I'm doing air quotation marks, because adults, the definition of an adult is, you know, depends on the person. But, you know, I'm starting to do the adulting thing now. I have a job, and, you know, for me, as I'm moving into, you know, becoming more and more independent, it really is about setting those goals, you know. And for me, when I'm setting my goals, I always try to think of what are my big priorities in life right now? What are the things that need to be a focus? And, you know, for me, I already know that for me, a focus is God, is my family, and, you know, is really taking care of, you know, and making sure that my emotional health, my physical health, and my mental health are all in check. Because if those three things aren't in check, I don't personally believe you can properly do anything else. So
Right.
making sure I'm straight with God, making sure I'm straight with my sisters, my mom, my dad, my family, you all, you know, and then making sure that I'm straight with myself, you know, that I can, you know, not only recognize when, you know what, you've been eating crazy for the last couple of weeks, we need to fix that, but also recognizing you're stressed. You're not, you're getting snippy, you're getting a little lippy with people. It's not because you're angry with them, it's because you're stressed and you haven't taken care of something emotionally that you should take care of. So, you know, for me, being a woman and moving from, you know, that phase of being a child into being an adult is making sure that I have those three things set before I try to do anything else.
Beautiful.
It's really important.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I think that, you know, your mommy's definition initially really does speak to where you guys are now. This is the target, so to speak.
Yes.
And so, you know, when you grow up, society tells you being a woman is when you start your cycle. Or being a woman is when you've had your first sexual experience. Or being a woman is when you get married. Or being a woman is when you have a baby. But if you look at being a woman as a continuous process,
Yes.
then it's actually not so intimidating, right?
Right.
I was thinking about that as Jody was talking. So I would say, so far we said it's a process. So far we've said that definitely there's milestones. What would you say, Mom, was, besides, 7, when you had to take care of a whole human, which, by the way, at 7, I was probably the most selfish person on earth. I mean, I can't even imagine thinking about, at least Jody and Jesse and Jamie were all like 1.5 to 2 years apart. So it was like they're normal. But for me, no. Like, taking care of somebody, no. I had Sheila was away in school. I think Greg was away. I was like completely by myself. No, I can't even imagine having to be responsible for a whole nother person, because I was kind of sort of still a baby.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I was a baby and I was spoiled. So
yes. yes.
I don't see that happening. But what do you feel like, you and Dad met, when you guys were in high school. Dad
Right.
was like, yes, her. And you were like, not him at all. And then
Right.
you guys were like, okay, So, did you feel like your journey to even getting married, because you guys' story is actually pretty phenomenal, even pre-marriage, even pre-ministry, right? Do you feel like at those checkpoints, like you having Greg, you getting married, you becoming a housewife, you supporting your husband through college, and taking care of a whole family on your own, basically, and then you stepping into being a pastor's wife, do you feel like there was one particular moment where you were like, man, being a woman is not the jam. Like, I don't like this at all.
Yes. Yeah, and it came when my dad got the call to the ministry. And I don't mean from a conference, I mean got the call from God for ministry. It was like, oh no, here we go again. Now I'm the one that has to work. I'm the one that has to earn the money to pay the bills. I'm the one that comes home and takes care of the kids. It was a whole lot at one time. And for just a little moment, I wanted to be selfish. I wanted to say, I have earned this American dream, the American pie, where my husband goes out to work and I stay home and raise the kids and have his dinner ready when he comes home and give him his slippers. And it didn't happen. And I had to regroup. I had to change my dream and find another dream. And I didn't know what that was, because mentally, all I wanted to do was to have the family I never had. I wanted to be in that family, and it wasn't happening at all. My life was just all over the place. And then we started moving all over the place. So I felt like I could never sit down any roots. And I still, to this day, don't feel like I have my roots down yet. I'm still like in transit, if that makes any sense to you. So it happened to me early, to answer your question. It happened to me early. And it was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play anymore. The game has changed and it's not going my way. And I think it's unfair. I think I've earned, you start going through all of this self-pity stuff where you think that it's just not fair, things not fair, life's not fair. So that's when that happened to me. That happened to me, and I didn't really, truly come out of that until your dad graduated from Oakwood. By the time he went to Andrews, it was set. I knew what I had to do. I repurposed my goal. I restructured my life and said, let's go. But then it all changes. So I've lived a life of constant change, and I literally had to regroup, restructure, pull in a whole lot of understanding, about where do I go from here. So my goals were always shifting because life was always shifting. So along about, I'll say, I remember when, but Dana Edmonds, which is something I have to really give him credit for, saw something in me. And he said, you know what, you have a knack for teenagers. And I was like, what? You know, he says, I've watched you and you have a knack for teenagers. So he started me on that vein. And so that was another life. That was a constant up until, about 2 years ago. And then it changed again. But at least there was some continuity as far as what I wanted to achieve or where my goals were going and what I wanted. So I hope I answered your question. I know it went on and on about it, but there's so much going on in my life that it's just hard to kind of capsule it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you definitely did. I feel like we're going to pause really quick and then we're going to ask this question to everyone else and then we'll wrap. Okay. So I'm going to give my nieces an opportunity to speak and see if they have any questions they've been burning to ask. Sure, why not do it on a platform where everyone can?
This is great.
Why not?
I do have a question.
Not private at all.
No.
So we can kick this off with Jody, and then we'll move over to Jesse.
Okay. So I am going to be really doing the adulting thing now, and I guess I wonder, you know, what do you think is the one thing that if I don't do anything else, what is the one thing that I need to keep and hold, you know, close to my heart and close on my mind as I transition into living on my own as an adult?
You want to take that or you want me to take that? I can take that one.
Okay.
I would say the one thing is to remember who you are and remember whose you are. That's something that my dad actually used to say to me all the time. And he would say it kind of like this: you're a Grider. You don't only represent yourself, but you represent our family. And always remember that as you're making decisions, as you're moving about life, remember who you are. And then the other thing was remember whose you are. You're a daughter of God. You're the daughter of Greg and Natasha. You're the niece. You're, the granddaughter. And if you can remember those two things, meaning that God is at the top of that pyramid, I think everything else will flow from there. I think I've made a lot of decisions and I've avoided pitfalls bigger than some of the ones that I stepped in. Just purely being like, is this something that my mom and dad would be proud of? To me, that's the sniff test, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to embarrass my family, legit,
Right. Right.
And then the other part is I'm trying to be a woman after God's own heart.
Amen.
As I get older,
Amen.
that is a goal of mine, is to be a woman after God's own heart. And if I can somehow manage that, I'm good.
Yeah.
And so if you can kind of think of it that way, I mean, David was a man after God's own heart. David made a lot of mistakes and he was a hot mess. But at the end of the day, God said, I love him, with an everlasting love. I love him. And if I can somehow have a love for Christ and represent that through the way I move and through my decision making, I feel like that's it. Everything else flows from there. So remember who you are and remember whose you are.
Yes, good advice.
That would be my advice.
Thanks.
For my question, still in my undergraduate career, and I'm trying to figure out who and what and how I'm going to be. What in my mind, I'm just like, it's so clear in my mind, but I can't just put it into words necessarily to explain to everybody who cares about me what it is that I'm on track to doing. But you guys know I'm busy, and you guys know I'm working. So as long as I'm busy and working, I have at least some small milestones I can share with you. But I do wonder, especially, this is a question mostly for you, Grandmommy, I wonder how you make sure that you're walking in your path, but not being selfish at the same time, and making sure to include people that love you, include people in your life that care, while also making sure that you're achieving your life goals. And I know that you're writing a book now, and it's out, and you're still doing what you do, and it's amazing, and you've never stopped. But I want to know how you do what you want to do, but also juggle the family aspect, your love life, your
That's a good question.
the things that matter.
Yes, it is. It's a great question. Well, first of all, Jessica, you have to, and I think Twyla put it in perspective, those two things, whose you are and who you are. But to break it down even further, that word selfish has been a blocker for a lot of people. A lot of goals have not been met, a lot of friendships have been forfeited, a lot of marriages have broken over a misunderstanding of what selfish is. Everything that's selfish is not negative. If you don't care about yourself, it does not matter. You are doomed to fail if you don't put yourself right up front. You should be your first priority after God. God goes above everything. Yes.
Can I interject? Women in particular have been taught that taking care of yourself first is wrong.
Yeah,
It's not.
that's so true.
That's the thing that we women have been told through every medium known to man.
Yeah,
Mhm.
especially after you have kids.
So Mom,
Especially if you have kids.
yeah, and so Mom, I love what you're saying, because just because you're being selfish, meaning taking care of yourself, doesn't mean it's a negative thing. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, because that's true. You have the ish. Ish is when you use that ish at the end of something. It means it's in progress. It's not fully there or whatever. You know. We got the TV show Blackish, all that. It simply means that it's not 100% complete or whatever. But selfish is only negative is if you don't care about yourself. See, anybody that cares about themselves will care about others. There's no way you can truly love yourself if you don't love others. So you care it for yourself, but you are no good. I mean, even the airline have sense enough to tell you that. You know that when you're on a flight and the airline attendant tells you the face mask falls down, what do they tell you to do? To put it on yourself first. Because if you're nowhere, you can't help anybody to get anywhere. So you have to think about yourself. That is not selfish. People that love you, your family, understand you. They know what you're thinking. You're a hard worker. There are goals you want. And yours are not. Now, Jessie has a little easier because, Jody has a little easier because all she has to do is be creative enough and find out the best way her students can learn. That's her primary goal, is that their students learn, and she has to find out the best way to help them to learn the way they learn. Are they visual? However they learn. You, on the other hand, you have what I call intangibles that you have to work with, because you're working in a world that changes faster than the time of, than the speed of light. And you are constantly having to readjust yourself to make sure that what you're doing is right there on target. You can't do that if you worried about parents approve of you, or whether your sisters approve of you, or whether your auntie or whoever approves of you. You approve of you. Okay? You think things through. You know what's going to damage you in the long run. You know that if you go down this avenue, it's not going to take you in the best place. To give you an example, you're in a relationship right now, and I'm sure you care about the relationship you're in. But if that relationship gets to a point where it damages you, then you can't worry about how that other person feels. Then you have to worry about how you feel. Because if you don't feel right, you can't make them feel right, and it's not going to work. See, that works with everything. That's going to work with your job. It's going to work with everything. You have to be selfish to succeed. And that is the positive selfish. But you have to also be careful that you don't do the negative selfish. And that, to me, is where you don't want to ever become a megalomaniac. You don't never want to get narcissist. Can't say the word right now because a narcissist. You cannot get there, because then that damages you and you no longer are taking care of yourself. Right. So priority 1 is Christ. Priority 2 is you. We love you. We'll accept you. You be as quirky or as whatever as you want to. It's who you are, and we love you for who you are. Okay? Always remember that. And anybody that cannot accept you for who you are is not worthy of your time or thought.
Wow. And I'll add to that, even for, Jody, because there are going to be times, even though your path, I don't want to say it's easier, but it is set.
No, it's not easy.
It's set forth. Your mother was an educator. You have a plethora of examples of educators.
Yes.
That you can tap into and model. But I'll say for Jessie, paving your own path as a designer, I get it. And I think that both of you are at a point in your lives and in your careers where it's really important to be self-interested.
Yes.
You have to be your best advocate.
Yes.
And you have to be focused, laser focused on that goal, because, and you have to do it with such determination that nothing can distract you from that goal. Because what happens is, if you allow that little crack,
yes,
in that focus, you can spiral, and then you wake up 10 years later trying to figure out what happened.
Right.
Why isn't my life where I intended it to be? And it's usually because something came along that distracted you, and then you made a left turn. I'm a full witness of that. So
me too.
Yeah, and then you end up where you're supposed to be eventually, because one day you come to yourself.
Right.
For me, I was selling insurance and styling people at the same time, and people were like, "Why aren't you in fashion?" And I was like, "Well, I was in fashion." And they're like, "You should be in fashion." Meanwhile, I'm sitting at a desk with like 200 email, and I'm just like, I literally called Dad, and I was just like, "I'm quitting my job." And he was like, "Wait, get your bonus first." Legit, that was his advice. Get your bonus first and pay off your car. But you have to stay laser focused so that you don't, you're gonna hit I won't say you're gonna hit the goal, but the way you're set up, you're gonna hit the goal, right? It doesn't matter, because you have so much drive and determination. I just see, no one really wanted you to go to Howard. You were like, "I'm going to Howard anyway." Not only did you go, you got it paid for. You're like that person. You have that je ne sais quoi. So I'm not worried necessarily.
Savoir-faire.
Exactly. So I'm not worried about you hitting the goal. I think it's more so not allowing even your family and your loved ones to distract. And like Mom said, we're always going to be here. So you don't have to worry about family. We're going to be here. Like, Mom always calls me and I'm like, "I'm busy and I'm tired." Like, I'm busy and I'm tired. I'm like always busy and tired. Your Auntie, she would call me that, "Girl, what are you doing? Busy and tired." That's just my life right now. I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, you know, I'm busy and tired. That's gonna be what I am probably for the next 5 years, you know. They understand. I can't always like chit chat with mom. I can't always
Right.
chit chat with dad. You know, I love you guys. I don't, you know, you're not always able to do the things, right?
Right. Right.
And as an adult, you will understand. They will understand. Everyone will get it because that's a part of being an adult. But as a woman, I don't want you to ever feel as though you have to sacrifice your dreams and goals to attend to other people.
Right. Right. And let me interject something right here too. This is something you need to understand, both of you ladies. And by the way, thank you for giving me bragging rights, all three of you, because I brag on you all the time. You know, you're my legacy, and I've got a good legacy that I'm leaving, so I'm perfectly satisfied, right? But let me leave you with this little thing. As you climb toward your goals, there are going to be times when you fail. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes they're going to be some whoppers. Never, ever feel like you have let us down. You understand me clearly, ladies? Never, ever feel like you've let us down, because you have not. We made mistakes, major mistakes. So we understand what that making major mistakes is about. It's never going to be held against you. It's never going to cause us to think any less of you. You are right on top of the pinnacle, and the surface is so wide and so flat you'll never fall off, okay? As far as us loving you or caring about you. Just understand, don't ever be afraid to tell us your failures, because you're never going to be judged about them. The immediate response to what that's going to be is, how can I help you? Okay? Keep that in your mind. Don't ever, ever, ever be afraid to tell us what is going on that you think may embarrass us or make us whatever, because it won't. We love you. And the one thing about love is it's not an emotion. So circumstances aren't going to rock your boat as far as we're concerned. You understand what I'm saying? So never, ever keep secrets because you think it's going to affect us adversely, because it's not what we're going to think. Our immediate thing is, oh, emergency, what can I do? That's the immediate thought. No judging, or you should have done, or why didn't you, or couldn't you, and didn't you? None of that. What can we do to help you? Okay? So don't worry about any of that. We all make mistakes. Some of them are Lulus, and we pay for those mistakes for the rest of our lives. But the thing about the Lulu mistakes is that they're the ones that give you the strength. They're the ones that make you the strongest. They're the ones that call on you from the inside to get that determination to say, okay, so I fell in the ditch. Guess what? I'm crawling out of it. And when I come out, I'm going to be bigger. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to be wiser. Okay? So don't set things in your life so tight that you're concerned about whether you fail or not, because it's going to happen. It happens to all of us. Just remember, we got your back.
That's a good one. So I wanted to end a little bit with the Bible's definition of a woman. And, you know, everyone looks at Proverbs 31:10 through 31 as, you know the verse, who can define a virtuous woman? And it starts out talking about her in her home as a wife. But one of the things that I love about it is, as it goes down, it starts talking about her business savvy, her work ethic. So not only does she take care of her home, but she takes care of her community. So I'm just going to read it really quick, and then we'll kind of wrap up with some quotes from some other pretty strong women. So Proverbs 31:10 through 31 says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and fat and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships, She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengthens her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretches out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reaches forth her hand to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excelleth them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates.
Yes.
Mom, I think you are the epitome of this verse.
Oh, wow. Thank you, sweetie.
And I would say that your legacy says so.
Yes.
And as we close, I want to, first of all, honor you as the matriarch of our family. But also, I want to encourage my nieces to strive to be that virtuous woman. It has nothing to do with being a wife. It has nothing to do with being a mom. It has everything to do with being loving, being God-fearing, being careful, being self-reflective, being strong, being nurturing, and being honest.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is what being a woman is about.
Very well said. Absolutely, very well said.
Thank you, ladies, so much. I appreciate you taking this time to do this with me. I hope the ladies at Koto, as well as the gentlemen, have enjoyed the conversation. And we will see you next time. God bless.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Grider family. That was an amazing discussion about womanhood. When did you realize that you had finally become a woman? I think for me, honestly, I probably came into womanhood in my 30s. I know that's a little late. I'm a late bloomer. But I think life experiences and, the things that we go through is what makes us into the woman who we are. And I absolutely loved how this whole discussion ended with that Proverbs 31 woman. What better picture of what womanhood should be than the Proverbs 31 woman? So I hope you enjoyed today's program. I hope it blessed you. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that, you were commenting and sharing. And make sure you join us the second Sabbath in next month, because we will again do something that's related to women's ministry. To all my ladies who are watching, I want you to grab a friend and I want you to meet me on Zoom tonight at 8 o'clock. The women of Koto are having a virtual ladies' night out. This is for our girls, our ladies, and our older women. We're going to have prizes. We're going to have games. And guess what? We're also going to have a lip sync battle. So we need you to help us vote for the winner. Join us 8 p.m. tonight on Zoom. If you need the information and the Zoom login, make sure you go to our church website and the information will be there for you. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you join us next Saturday, same time, same place, 3 p.m. Have a blessed week, and we'll see you then. Take care.